Kevin Durant has reportedly given Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai the ultimate ultimatum. It's me or it's them. The them in this scenario, Brooklyn Nets general manager Sean Marks and Brooklyn Nets head coach Steve Nash, as first reported by Shams Charania over at The Athletic. In the past few days, Kevin Durant and Nets owner Joe Tsai reportedly met in London to discuss KD's future after demanding a trade out of Brooklyn on June 30th. According to Shams, the meeting was, quote, professional. KD listed out his concerns with Brooklyn Nets management, said he would still like to be dealt, but if Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai was willing to get off of Sean Marks and Steve Nash, the opportunity for KD to return to Brooklyn next season as he enters the first year of a $198 million four-year deal is there. Now, Joe Tsai did respond to these reports. He tweeted out, "Our front office and coaching staff have my support. We'll make the decision in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets." So pretty much what KD has done is put Brooklyn in a corner. Durant let it be known that he doesn't want to play for Steve Nash and be under the direction of Sean Marks, which means next season ain't going to work unless the owner decides to move away from his coach and general manager. But if the owner did that, he would be giving all the power to the players, which maybe that worked for a Giannis. Maybe you do that for a Steph Curry or maybe even a LeBron James. But as fickle as KD has been throughout his career and willingness to kind of just randomly want to move on to a new scenario when most of us can't see the reason why he'd want to do it, you just be honestly a fool to ever give Kevin Durant, despite him being one of the greatest scorers in the history of the NBA, what he wants in this regard. I don't think the Nets are going to do it, which is why I do believe the Nets are going to try their hardest to pull off a KD trade. Now, will it get done? I'm just not sure. Will the Nets call KD's bluff and see would he really sit out a season? Only time will tell. We know that the Celtics, Raptors, and Heat remain the three teams that have the best chance at landing KD, with the Suns being a distant fourth, but none of these teams have overwhelmed the Brooklyn Nets with their packages as of now. I'm going to hop on camera and talk about this more in a second, but my question for KD is, what could the Brooklyn Nets have done better to acquiesce to what you've wanted since joining this franchise? They signed you with a torn Achilles. That's what you had coming off the 2019 NBA Finals. They allowed you to rehab on their dollar. You missed the entire season despite getting paid an entire season's pay. You got to pick your running mate in Kyrie Irving. Despite Brooklyn reportedly not really wanting Kyrie, they were just willing to take whatever it took to land KD. When you come back from your season miss, you play exceptional ball, but you're hurt a lot. Your team ends up getting bounced in the second round of the playoffs by the Milwaukee Bucks. Mind you, in a season where they went and got you some more help in James Harden. You end up losing James Harden because your running mate, Kyrie, the one that you picked to join the Nets, would not get vaccinated. So you lose Harden mentally. But the Nets go pull off a pretty good trade, all things considered, for Harden. You go get a Ben Simmons. Look, Simmons didn't play last season, but many are expecting him to bounce back 22-23 campaign and at least be a guy that can space the court from a playmaking perspective, rebound the basketball and assist the basketball, get KD some easy looks. You don't even give that a chance. You lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Boston Celtics. To me, you had a pretty good team to beat Boston, but this team didn't even look competitive against the Celtics at most points in this series. Your head coach, following your sweep, comes to your defense again, as Steve Nash has done many, many times in his couple years as Brooklyn head coach. You throw Steve under the bus by telling him you want him fired after all he's done is coddle and baby you thus far in Brooklyn? What could the Nets as an organization have done better? What could the owner, Joe Tsai, have done differently to make sure you don't do this? Demand a trade with $200 million left on your contract. Obviously, I'm not privileged to private conversations amongst these entities. So please, forgive me if I'm missing some great details in this story. But from the public perspective, I'm sorry, Kevin Durant just does not deserve to be coddled and babied again. If the Nets find a trade that makes all the sense in the world to them, then I'm sure they'll do it. But if they don't, they ought to keep KD and deal with what comes with it. Either he plays unhappily, which will still probably be one of the best scorers in the league, or he doesn't play at all, and your lottery rebuild begins, because you will be a lottery team if KD decides to not play for Brooklyn next year by sitting out. But acquiescing to KD once again after you've done nothing but acquiesce to KD since he joined the Nets, to me doesn't seem to be the right move, and it's time for the Brooklyn Nets to put their foot down and do what's best for their organization with or without one of the greatest scorers of all time.